Szenes, Legacy in Life and Death. Szenes left this world being a true inspiration to young people, especially women, and showing us that fear isn't what defines you. It's getting over the fear and helping save lives, even if it means giving up what your own, is what ultimately defines you. The year was 1943. The Holocaust had broken out. Many innocent gays, gypsies, and Jews are being sent to death camps. And all because Hitler wanted Europe to think that these people should be blamed for the massive loss Germany faced in World War I. Knowing the fears and risks ahead of her, young Senesh, at age 21, stepped up and decided to help her people. Even though she was young, she was awfully brave. She was one of the 37 Jews that were able to get trained in Egypt by the British to become a paratrooper to help infiltrate Nazi Europe, or specifically Nazi-occupied Hungary. After several months of training, Hannah was finally recruited to Europe to help save Jews going to death camps. Soon after, she became a target to the Nazis for being a Jew and helping save Jews. She was captured and imprisoned for several months, where she wrote famous poems that have been remembered to this day and will be remembered later on. When being executed, she removed her blindfold, wanting to stare at her executors right in the face, accepting her fate. Hannah's body was recovered 4 years later and given a proper burial on Mount Herzl in Jerusalem, Israel, where people were able to mourn for 3 days and remember this remarkable woman who gave up her own life to save those of her people. This is why she made an impact and has been a true inspiration to women all over, because of the sacrifices that she made and the dangerous risks she took in the name of helping her people. Hannah Senesh was born in 1921 in Budapest, Hungary. Her family consisted of her mother, Catherine Senesh, her brother, Gary Senesh, and her dad, Bella Senesh, who later died when Hannah was a young girl due to rheumatic heart disease. When Hannah was a girl, she loved to write and perform. Hannah's family moved to Israel in 1939 and left in 1943. As a student, Hannah was an accomplished poet, and she was a starting playwright. Hannah chose to be part of the farming movement in Israel instead of going to university, which she could have gained admittance to. Hannah made this decision, and when asked, she said, "There are already too many intellectuals in Palestine. The great need is for workers who can help build the country. Who can work for, if not we, the youth?" Hannah Senesh loved Israel, which was called Palestine at the time, and she would constantly take hikes, go around the country, and visit kibbutzim. By 1943, her family had moved back to Budapest. In 1943, when Hannah was approximately 21, she had volunteered to be trained in the British Army. For several months, she was trained in Egypt after volunteering to be a paratrooper. Hannah was one of 37 Jews who were actually able to get trained by the British Army. The British were against what the German government and people were doing, which was conducting a massacre of millions of innocent Jews, gays, and gypsies, because Hitler, who was the Chancellor of Germany, persuaded Germans that Jews, gays, and gypsies were responsible for the big money loss after World War I. Hannah was recruited to cross into the Hungarian border and meet up with soldiers that were in disguise in Hungary to help save Jews and Jewish families that were about to be sent to death camps. Hannah's first mission was successful, but a great risk, and later she was discovered by the Nazis and her life was wanted. On June 7, 1944, Hannah Senesh was arrested at the Hungarian border after trying to sneak in by the Nazis. Hannah was imprisoned, and while she was forced to speak about her mission, Hannah never said a word. They tortured her, starved her, and threatened the life of her mother, but she knew she couldn't tell the Nazis about her mission. Hannah was put on trial in October 1944, but she still remained silent. During that period before she was executed, she decided to write poems, which was what she was best at. She wrote a famous poem called Eli, Eli, which later got turned into a song. What she was saying in her poem is Eli Eli shelo yigamer ve'olam chako ve'chayam rishrush shel hamayim berak hashemayim tfilat ha'adam. The translations are, my God, I hope these things never end. The sand in the sea, the rush of the water, the crash of the heavens, the prayer in man's heart. 1 month later, November 7th, 1944, Hannah was put in front of a firing squad about to be executed. The executors offered her a blindfold to put over her eyes, but she refused. Hannah said that she wanted to stare right in the face of her executors. The guns were shot, and at that instant, Hannah had died at age 23. In 1950, 5 years after World War II ended, Hannah's body was recovered and brought to Mount Herzl in Jerusalem, Israel, for proper burial. People were able to mourn and pay their respects for her for 3 days before her body was actually buried. Since then, many people have been able to pay respects to her and have done actions in her memory. In conclusion, Hannah was memorable because she overcame her fear and risked her own life to help save others. Because of her heroic actions, she was viewed as a soldier by the Nazis and not as a Jew. Because of this, she was given the death of a soldier and not the death of a Jew, which was getting sent to a death camp. From doing this project, I learned that I should take risks and it is okay to fight for something you believe in. Because after all, legacy follows people who say no to society and stand up for what is ultimately right. Hannah's risky, brave actions shows in her legacy, and she continues to be a heroic figure till this day.